We just had to not like each other for a bit.
You had to not like me, which came easy.
Marvel just fired Bella Ramsey. Not stepped away or parted ways, fired.
I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean,
And the reason? It wasn't just scheduling conflicts, creative differences, or vague studio speak. No, this one cuts deeper, and fans of The Last of Us might have seen it coming from miles away.
The creator of the show is finally speaking out about its failure. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin admits Season 2 was a finale, drew over 50% less than the finale of Season 1. You lost half of your...
What started as one of the most anticipated castings in recent memory has now crumbled into a quiet, awkward mess that neither Marvel nor Ramsey's team seems eager to talk about. But behind the silence, there's a story, one filled with skyrocketing expectations, online firestorms, and a growing fear that some actors just can't survive the internet anymore. Bella Ramsey was on the verge of breaking into the MCU. Rumors swirled about her being eyed for a major role in Marvel's next phase, possibly as a member of the Young Avengers. A chance to lock in a long-term contract, secure superhero status, and join the upper tier of Hollywood's elite. But then, The Last of Us Season 2 dropped, and that's where everything changed. Almost overnight, the mood shifted. Fans who once praised Bella's raw, emotional performances turned cold. Some claimed she was unwatchable in the latest season, that she lacked the emotional depth the role demanded. Others were less kind. Accusations of being miscast, overhyped, or just plain wrong for Ellie flooded social media. Hashtags trended, clips were dissected, threads turned savage. And as the backlash snowballed, Marvel, already struggling to regain its footing post-Endgame, made a decision. They pulled the plug, quietly, strategically, and maybe even permanently. But was it really about her performance? Or is this just another example of a massive studio caving to internet outrage? What really happened between Bella Ramsey and Marvel? And is her acting career in serious danger? Let's break it down. Before the backlash, before the casting drama, and long before Marvel got cold feet, Bella Ramsey was a rising star, a breakout talent with an unmistakable edge. It all started with Game of Thrones. Most child actors struggle to keep up in complex, mature shows. But Bella didn't just keep up, she stole scenes. As Lady Lyanna Mormont, she became a fan favorite in a matter of minutes. Fierce, commanding, and impossible to ignore. Viewers couldn't believe the kind of screen presence she had at just 13 years old. She wasn't cute, she wasn't soft, she was powerful, and that alone made Hollywood take notice. From there, the roles kept coming. Bella quickly positioned herself as an actor with range. She voiced Hilda in the Netflix animated series, took on darker, more introspective roles in indie dramas, and eventually she landed the part, Ellie, in HBO's live-action adaptation of The Last of Us. Now, anyone familiar with the gaming world knows Ellie is sacred ground. Fans had high, sometimes unrealistic expectations. They didn't just want a good performance, they wanted perfection. And when Bella was cast, the internet was immediately divided. Some praised the choice, calling her authentic and emotionally grounded. Others questioned the decision, pointing to her age, her look, and whether she could embody Ellie's vulnerability and rage. Still, Season 1 aired, and despite some early grumbling, it landed well. Reviews praised Bella and Pedro Pascal's chemistry. Audiences slowly came around, and by the end of the season, even some of the loudest critics had to admit Bella had delivered something special. Behind the scenes, her career was heating up. Studios took notice of her raw, naturalistic acting style. Rumors began circulating that Marvel was interested, not just for a cameo, but a serious, long-term role. Some said she was being considered for Kate Bishop's teammate, or a new MCU original character built specifically for Phase 6. Bella was one role away from superhero stardom. And then came Season 2. The moment The Last of Us Season 2 aired, everything shifted. It wasn't just a matter of fans being disappointed. It was a complete tonal collapse. From the very first episode, the criticism was harsh. Not just at the writing, not just at the pacing, but squarely at Bella Ramsey. Social media lit up with angry threads. YouTube channels began dissecting every scene she appeared in. Lack of emotion, they said. Flat delivery. Doesn't feel like Ellie anymore. To be fair, some of the backlash wasn't entirely about her. The show had made bold choices, some creative, some controversial. Key plot points deviated from the game in subtle ways that confused longtime fans. But Bella became the face of it. Right or wrong, her performance became the symbol for what fans believed had gone off the rails. One moment in particular, Ellie's emotional breakdown after a major character end, became the center of online debate. Some viewers called it wooden. Others said it was misdirected rage. Reaction videos were savage. And as clips went viral, a narrative began to form. Bella Ramsey had failed to carry the weight of the season, and Marvel was watching. While all this unfolded, insiders say the casting teams at Marvel were holding internal meetings. Bella had been a frontrunner for a role tied into the next big crossover arc. Not quite Spider-Man level, but important enough to warrant attention from top producers. But as the online heat around her grew louder, the tone in those meetings allegedly changed. Studio execs started asking hard questions. Can we afford this kind of controversy? Is this going to divide the fan base? Could this damage the brand long-term? Because Marvel isn't just about acting talent. It's about likability, marketability, image. And with the MCU already in a delicate phase after multiple flops and fatigue setting in, they weren't looking to take a risk. Soon, the rumors started leaking. Bella Ramsey's name was quietly pulled from internal casting boards. Discussions ended, and before anything was officially announced, the door had already closed. Just like that, the opportunity vanished, and what happened next would ignite an even bigger firestorm. Marvel didn't release a statement, no official blog post, no polite PR explanation. In fact, if you weren't paying attention, you might have missed it entirely. That's how it usually goes when the stakes are this high and the optics this sensitive. When Marvel backs out of something, they don't broadcast it, they erase it quietly, strategically. And that's exactly what appears to have happened with Bella Ramsey. Industry whispers began leaking to insider forums and entertainment gossip pages. People who had once sworn that Bella was 90% confirmed for a role suddenly began walking it back. The character, who was supposedly built around her, was now being reimagined. Talks were on hold. Creative direction had shifted. The language was vague, but the meaning was clear. Bella was out. Behind closed doors, studio insiders claimed that Marvel was no longer comfortable moving forward, not because Bella couldn't act, not because of a contract issue, but because she was simply too risky. Now, her name had become divisive, and when it comes to billion-dollar franchises, divisive is a lifetime sentence. Marvel had already suffered a few recent blows: underperforming films, lukewarm series, and a growing narrative that the MCU was losing steam. They weren't just casting for a role, they were rebuilding trust with an audience that had started to check out. And in that context, Bella became the wrong person at the wrong time. The fandom backlash surrounding The Last of Us Season 2 was simply too loud to ignore. It wasn't just Reddit threads and angry tweets anymore. It was turning into a full-blown controversy. Videos criticizing her acting were hitting millions of views. Some called her the weakest link in HBO's biggest show. Others openly roasted her as a miscast mistake. For Marvel, the risk was clear. Cast Bella and invite that same energy into the MCU. And with how fragile the brand has become, they weren't going to take that chance. Some say it was unfair. Some say it was business. But either way, the decision was made. And when the story leaked, the internet exploded all over again. If Marvel thought pulling Bella quietly would avoid drama, they miscalculated. As soon as the rumor hit Reddit and entertainment news cycles, the fan reaction was instantaneous, and it split the internet straight down the middle. On one side were the critics, the ones who had been vocal about Bella's performance from the beginning. They celebrated the decision. Marvel finally made a smart call, they posted. She was never right for the MCU. Comment sections filled with hot takes. That Bella lacked screen presence, that she was a Twitter pic more than a true acting powerhouse, and that Marvel was just doing damage control before things got worse. On the other side, fury. Accusations of industry cowardice and corporate manipulation lit up social media. Fans and celebrities alike began defending Bella publicly, slamming both HBO and Marvel for allegedly letting online hate dictate casting decisions. One tweet from a fellow Last of Us actor read, "Bella carried that show through impossible expectations. She deserves better than this industry backlash BS." Another viral post simply said, "We're watching a young actor get removed in real time for doing her job." Some YouTubers created entire videos just to defend her, diving into acting theory, script issues, and directorial problems, arguing that Bella was being unfairly scapegoated. Others dug up old interviews, showing hearing her discussing how hard the role was emotionally and how much online pressure she felt even before season 2 aired. The debate wasn't just about Bella anymore. It was about a system, about how fast rising stars can fall, about how much control the internet now has over Hollywood. It exposed an ugly truth. That perception, more than talent, more than loyalty, more than box office numbers, can make or break a career in 2025. And in the middle of it all, Bella stayed silent. No tweets, no interviews, just complete silence. Which, of course, only fueled more speculation. Was she under NDA? Was she too devastated to respond? Or was she being advised to lie low and let the storm pass? But if the internet was looking for closure, they weren't going to get it. Because what happened next blurred the lines between business and personal even further. Marvel had fired her. The internet had chosen sides. And behind the scenes, something even bigger was brewing. For decades, casting decisions were made behind closed doors. Executives debated talent. Directors fought for their picks. And audiences usually found out after the deals were done. But in 2025, that entire model is gone. Now, casting begins with analytics and ends with a public opinion thermometer. And Bella Ramsey's situation is the perfect case study. What Marvel did wasn't new, but it was louder than usual. Studios have always played it safe, but in the age of social media, safe doesn't mean experienced or talented. It means undeniably likable. It means algorithm-friendly. It means controversy-proof. The digital landscape has changed everything. A single viral thread can tank a marketing strategy. One poorly edited clip can ruin the perception of a billion-dollar project. And the new reality is this. Casting isn't just about who can act. It's about who can survive public perception. Marvel has already learned this the hard way. From the backlash around the Marvels to criticism of recent Disney Plus series, they've been walking on a razor's edge with fans. Fandom fatigue is real. Trust is fragile. And in this climate, Bella Ramsey, despite her talent, despite her resume, became too unstable a choice. But this isn't just about her. It's about a bigger shift in Hollywood. Actors today are under surveillance 24/7, not just by paparazzi or press, but by the public. Viewers dig up old interviews, overanalyze every scene, and judge based on vibes as much as skill. It's no longer enough to be great on screen. You have to be bulletproof off screen. Some studios have even begun running AI simulations on potential cast members, tracking predicted sentiment trends, audience heat maps, and controversy forecasts. If someone's name triggers even a fraction of negativity on Reddit or TikTok, they're out, no matter how perfect they are for the role. And that's the real tragedy here. Bella didn't get fired for failing auditions or faking scenes. She got erased because Marvel anticipated a storm they didn't want to weather. So what happens when backlash, not talent, determines careers? We might already be living in that future. And for Bella, the consequences went far beyond just one lost role. This is the question everyone's asking now. Fans, critics, and casting directors alike. Can Bella Ramsey bounce back from this? At just 21, she's already weathered more scrutiny than most actors face in a lifetime. From age debates to appearance shaming to critiques of her Last of Us performance, Bella has been at the center of a cultural war she never asked for. And now, with Marvel turning its back, the path forward is anything but simple. But don't write her off just yet. If there's one thing that defines Bella Ramsey's career, it's resilience. This is the same actor who once said in an interview that she didn't feel like she fit into the traditional idea of beauty or celebrity, that she never set out to be famous, just to tell stories that mattered. She wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing art. And even now, as the internet debates her downfall, Bella hasn't disappeared. In fact, she's already signed onto 2 upcoming indie films, projects with darker, more mature themes that give her the space to stretch her acting muscles in ways blockbuster roles never could. She may not be wearing a cape or throwing punches on screen anytime soon, but maybe that's not where her power lies anyway. If anything, the Marvel fallout may be the reset she didn't know she needed, a chance to step away from fan expectations and play roles that aren't constantly compared to game icons or superhero legends. And let's not forget, actors like Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart, and even Andrew Garfield all went through years of backlash before finding their footing again. Sometimes falling out of favor with major studios forces artists to rediscover what made them compelling in the first place. Bella's silence might not be fear, it might be focus. Still, the shadow of what could have been will always follow. That MCU chapter, that chance at immortality in pop culture, has closed. at least for now. And whether it was her performance, the backlash, or Marvel's obsession with control that caused it, the outcome remains the same. She was fired, she was doubted, she was rejected. But maybe, just maybe, she's not out of the fight yet. Because what happens next could flip the narrative one more time. Bella Ramsey's firing wasn't just a story about one actor losing a role, it was a sign of something bigger, a shift, a warning shot to every young actor, casting director, and studio in Hollywood. The rules have changed. In the past, controversy could sometimes boost an actor's profile. It created buzz. A little drama meant headlines, and headlines meant relevance. But in today's ultra-polarized landscape, drama doesn't just damage careers, it defines them. And that's where things get dangerous. Because it's no longer about whether an actor can play the part, it's whether audiences will let them. Studios now build casting shortlists by checking social sentiment first. It's become standard practice to run names through a kind of digital litmus test. How much online baggage does this person carry? Do they have a strong fan base? Have they survived backlash before? Bella Ramsey was incredibly talented. No one disputes that. But talent alone doesn't win roles anymore. Not when controversy follows you like a shadow, and not when studios are so desperate to avoid the next PR crisis that they'll drop a rising star before anything goes wrong. The irony? The very industry that once celebrated edgy and unconventional is now terrified of unpredictability. Executives want perfect optics, sanitized press tours, and cast members who won't stir any pot, no matter how small. What happened to Bella might not be the last time this plays out. In fact, we may see it happen again and again as Hollywood becomes less about bold storytelling and more about algorithm-proof casting. The risk is clear. When studios start fearing fan opinion more than they trust their own instincts, innovation is gone. Creativity shrinks. And actors who dare to be different, they get benched. But even as the system shifts, one thing hasn't changed. Audiences still love a comeback. Which brings us to one final question. So, what's next for Bella Ramsey? She's lost the Marvel role. She's been blamed, fairly or not, for the downturn in The Last of Us Season 2. And she's found herself at the center of a controversy that may haunt her for years. But does that mean she's done? Not even close. Hollywood has a short memory. Today's overrated can become tomorrow's Oscar winner. All it takes is the right role, the right timing, and the right audience willing to take another look. And Bella's already proven she can hold her own under pressure. She's young, talented, and more importantly, she's still evolving. She's not stuck to one genre, one franchise, or one moment. If anything, being cut from the MCU could free her up to take risks Marvel would have never allowed. No green screens, no studio mandates, just raw, emotional, human storytelling. And that's where the great actors thrive. Marvel's decision may have closed one door, but it's opened another. A chance for Bella to step back, reset, and remind everyone why she became a breakout star in the first place. So yes, she got fired. And yes, the internet had its say. But if we've learned anything from Hollywood history, it's this. Sometimes the actors who get shut out come back even stronger. Sometimes the biggest rejection becomes the beginning of the real story. And sometimes, just sometimes, the people the world tried to cancel end up becoming the most unforgettable names of their generation. Bella Ramsey may be down, but she's not done. Not yet.